Hello YouTubies, this is King Scribe. Now I want to talk about astral projection, which is a topic that I have looked into briefly. I've also sort of experienced it in the dream world, and I'm not sure if it's true or not. I'm going to say what I think could be the scientific explanation for it, and also what could be the spiritual explanation for it. So there's two different sides to this of what could actually be happening. Now, when you are sleeping, you tend to be in the realms of wandering around in your own mind and dreaming. And everybody knows that dreams are real, at least in the mind's eye. They actually do exist, but they're not actually part of the physical world. It's part of your mental world, how your mind puts together memories and how you experience ideas and thoughts. But other circumstances in which you can have an experience, and for whatever reason you feel like you're having maybe an outer body experience, or maybe astral projection, which is two separate things, by the way. Now, when I've had sort of both in the dream world, and I say the dream world because I cannot prove conclusively that it isn't part of the dream world, okay? I can't just say that these things were really happening, because it's likely that because maybe I was drinking too much or whatever. I don't know, I wasn't into a lot of drinking, but I'm just saying maybe something was going on. Maybe I wasn't as healthy as I thought back then, and that's why this sort of stuff was happening. Now let me explain the difference. Out-of-body experience is where you feel like you're floating towards the ceiling, and then you look down at your body and you say, oh, I'm dead. So you look down on it and you think that, and then you're able to float away into the universe to wherever your mind's eye will allow you. So whatever you want to do, you can do. And that's interesting. Some people call that lucid dreaming, and they're probably kind of right. I mean, that's an interesting way to actually call it, because I believe that there is a logical explanation for that. And whenever, let's say this, you're watching a film, let's say a roller coaster ride on a big IMAX screen. You do the 3D glasses things and you watch it, and it feels after a while that you're actually on the roller coaster. You feel the motion. Well, that's because your peripheral vision makes it so feels like you are moving. So your mind actually incorporates that into the feeling of motion. So your mind can actually make you feel like you're moving. For instance, when you're ill, you feel like you're spinning round and round. It's not too surprising that people can feel the motion of flying or falling. So for instance, when you trip over in a dream, you feel like you jerk, you fall. Well, that's the adrenaline kicking in and it's running down the feet, and suddenly you wake up. There is a difference between that and the astral projection, which is something else altogether, at least in my view. Many years ago, it only happened twice, by the way. And this was after 15 years of having a few bits of sleeping paralysis, bits of Peter Pan moments. I had this very, very strange dream, very odd dream in fact, and it was starting from sleeping paralysis, and then I suddenly was able to snap out of it. I got up, I walked across the room, I felt my hand open the door, so you could actually feel things opening it. I felt myself move out the room. It just feels like I am now while I'm walking or talking or whatever. I can feel my body, I can feel the fact that I'm awake. I walked to the next door, opened that, went to the living room, and everything was quite dark. And I put the picture on here of a dark room to show you some idea of just how dark it was. It was light enough for me to see, but dark enough to bother me. Yeah, because I need to see. I'm human. I don't have these cat's eyes. I need to see what I'm doing. So I went around the room looking for the light switch, and I found it, and I tried to turn it on. The lights didn't come on, and I thought that's a bit weird, so I tried another light in a different room. That didn't come on. Then I tried a torch. That didn't work. I tried to find the keys to go outside. Couldn't find them. So then I had a peek outside, and all I saw out there was the most sinister thing you could ever imagine. The place was blacked out, except I could see houses. I could see the shapes of houses. I could see the buildings, etc. Pretty much how you see on a very dark night, okay? You can see buildings, you can see stuff, but you can't see colour. You can't even see grey. People say you see grey. You can't see any colour basically because it's quite dark. You're probably seeing more shades of what they call blue. That's how the human eye actually works. And when I was looking outside, the moon was the dimmest thing you could ever imagine. It was more like a star than an actual moon. It lit the environment. It only lit it so you can just about see objects. it didn't let it so you could see details of objects. So, for instance, you could see that there's a bunch of keys on the table, or that there's a notebook or a tissue on the table, maybe a pizza or something. You can see that, but you can't see anything on the pizza or anything on the wallet or keys. You can't make out detail. You know the objects are there because you can see the outline of the shapes. That's just how dark it was outside, and the moonlight was just dismal. It was horrendous. So even opening the curtains wasn't working. Then I got this creepy sensation that I should probably get out the room. But looking at the whole thing when I was in the living room, I was looking around thinking, it's very, very dark in here. It's very, very fucking creepy. Very, very gloomy, dismal. And even outside it's the same. But I was looking outside and thought, the place looks abandoned. There's nobody here. Nothing at all. There's nothing here. There's no joy. It's just darkness. It's just gloomy darkness. And then I thought, well, if I go out there, the chances of me putting myself in further danger is actually quite high, because I don't know what's out there. Could be idiots out there or whatnot. But I was looking outside, it just looked completely abandoned. And, you know, I still got this creepy sensation that there was a danger outside, and there was a danger inside the house. But at the same time, the danger outside was much greater than the danger inside the house I was in. So that stopped me from going outside. Even then, I couldn't actually find the keys really. I mean, I could see the outline shapes, but I couldn't actually find anything worthy of finding. So I was looking outside and I noticed it was really dark behind me. It's just very, very creepy. Nothing was working, the lights didn't work, the electricity didn't work. I thought there must have been a blackout, but I could hear no people, I could hear no snoring, no nothing. Maybe just like a little rumble in the background or something. Just something like that. Not nothing. It was just like being in a dead place, but it felt like things were there, that there was things outside and there was things perhaps inside. I wanted to put the light on to see what it was doing, because you never know. So this lasted for a few minutes. I was looking around trying to find something to light up. The torch didn't work. Nothing was working. I couldn't produce light. I was trying to find matches. The matches wouldn't work, right? It was just very, very, very strange. And then, after all that, I literally could feel myself touching objects, touching the table, touching the wallet, trying to find, the keys, finding the plates, finding a cup of water. I could touch these objects. I could walk about from room to room. I could feel myself open the curtain, the motion of walking. But I woke up after sensing the danger. I mean, for whatever reason, I sort of just disappeared out of this environment and ended up waking up, and I actually thought I was awake then. That actually felt like I was awake. And it took me nearly a decade, because it was many years ago, for somebody to actually say that's astral projection. Now, it could be. Or another possibility is that it could also be that scientists haven't got sleeping right at the moment, because people just saying sleeping paralysis does exist, the entity attacks don't exist, none of this stuff exists. They completely overlook many other aspects of the human condition. And what I mean by this is, sleeping paralysis does exist, it's testable, and we found it. Sleeping centers have discovered that. Also, many other conditions involving sleep also exist. There are people who say dreams don't exist because they've never experienced it. Do people know about that? Somebody wrote an article in a newspaper once saying, oh, dreams don't exist. This is the sort of people we're dealing with. But what happens if the scientists have got sleeping wrong? What if it's not just like a spiritual training up, which I said in the previous video? Your mind can actually create realistic. You can actually feel pain in sleep. You can hear sounds in sleep. For instance, if an alarm clock goes off, you can hear it. If you trip over, you feel the jerk. You feel like you're falling. If you're flying, you feel the motion of flying. And all this is now very well established in science anyway, because when we're looking at the 3D technology we have, and you go to an IMAX theatre with one of these big screens with the 3D glasses, you can experience the roller coaster rides, right? And it feels like you're on it. So your mind can actually create the feeling that you are actually flying, that you are on a roller coaster or falling, because it's all to do with vision. The mind is connected to the eyes, and if it feels like you're moving, it translates that. So that's how you feel. So it's very, very misleading sometimes. People do feel like they're moving in motion even when they're not. and we know this when they're sick. Okay, so the mind can definitely do that. Another thing is pain. Pinch yourself. I'm not convinced that actually means you're awake or asleep. You can pinch yourself and still feel pain in your sleep. It's possible. Scientists say you can't. Well, they don't say that. They say, pinch yourself. That's a saying. But if I'm going around holding cups and I can feel the cup in my hand, I open the door, I can feel myself open the door, I can feel myself flicking a light switch. That's as good as a pinch as far as I'm concerned, because I can feel the motion, the feelings of touching stuff. You can't actually feel that in a true dream. You can't feel touching stuff in a dream. It doesn't exist. There are some sexual dreams where you can actually feel some things, but it's not the same. So it could be that scientists don't have sleeping conditions down to, let's say, at the moment. There's more to it than that. That's another possibility. It could also be that astral projection is real, and there are many different kinds of planes that the universe has. For instance, the universe or plane that I was on was a very gloomy plane, and it could very well be that the creatures that cause sleeping paralysis lived there. Okay, that's another possibility. They live in darkness. People talk about the jinn, they talk about demons. I'm not saying they're true or fake. They could be fake, they could be real. I don't know. I don't want to bring any religious dogma into this, because other things could be going on. But it's something to consider. These things are very strange. Now, if you look at the picture I put up on here, you can see just how dismal it would have looked to me outside. You cannot really see anything. The moon is absolutely weak, but it's just bright enough so you can make out objects, and that is kind of gloomy. That's dark, sinister stuff. That's like a horror movie. I don't understand why people say, oh, I really want to astral project, because if it's into a world like that, no, you wouldn't. That's not the astral projection you really want to be around. That's a gloomy astral projection. Now, it could be that there are many other forms of astral projection. I suppose that's possible. I'm not claiming that they're real. I'm not claiming that they're fake. I don't know. But it's an interesting topic nevertheless, because people do have these experiences. They do feel like they've had out-of-body experiences, and they do have sleeping paralysis at times too. So it's an interesting topic to talk about. Anyway, thank you for listening. Goodbye for now. See you later.